Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful LCA podcast. Today, we'll be talking about me and my struggles and my growth and what I got going on that I noticed that I have to take care of. How you doing today, Norma?
Um, I wasn't ready for that question. Even though I know we do it every time. I don't know. I think I'm tired. I'm like I'm still struggling too. Since the last time we spoke, not as bad, but definitely still like I don't want to do anything still. So I'm
Okay. Maybe
struggling
we
with that.
can talk about it because I did think it would be cool to have a follow up. So just kind of
Mhm.
after we're done with my shit, we can go into yours and kind of catch up how you've been feeling or how that hit you,
Yeah.
and we can go from there.
Yeah.
Uh, Mission statement. Our goal is to create a safe space for exploring mental health topics, sharing stories, and learning strategies for well being, fostering empathy, understanding, growth, and most importantly, love. And as always, Mindful Podcast living at gmail.com for any questions, concerns, comments. If you want to be a guest, if you want topic suggestions, whatever it might be, hit us up through there.
Yes.
All right. So, as I was telling you, now that we can get right into it, yesterday, for some reason, I was a little more irritable than usually.
Mhm.
Maybe because of like sleep. Like if I don't fucking sleep good for a couple of days, I'm all fucked. And on top of that, I started exercising pretty like hardcore again, which is good. But I'm aware that the first fucking 2 weeks is like you feel like shit more than you feel energized. So like I'm
Okay.
just going through that. I have that awareness.
Mhm.
Um, so I caught myself like being triggered or having shit like that. More emotional things would affect me more during those during that time. So I took note of what I have, and I guess which one would be the first. Well, I could just go in order in how I wrote them. I have still a lot of I get triggered very easily with the girls. I still have a lot of anger within me, and I don't like it.
You said anger
Uh,
with them.
yeah, like I just feel like I get frustrated like super quickly, and I end up yelling. I end up getting upset like very quick at feeling like they don't like listen to me or like something like that. Like I guess my frustration is like I used to get like yelled at and fucking hit with the belt or whatever the fuck it might be, but I don't have that. I don't want to do that. So then I'm like, it gets frustrating when I have to tell them over and over and over, and they're just like a thing, and it's just no response or no nothing. So it gets me frustrated to want them to respond more, like to get them to do something that I need them to do, or even as simple like what I actually wrote, like getting ready. Like I have this thing of like not being late, and then because of that stress, I guess, of not being late, then I end up like, hey, come on, wear your shoes. Oh, man, we can't find your shoes, or like, where's this with that? Come on, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go. And I get stressed out, and next thing you know, I'm like fucking mad. And I noticed that's a big pattern that it happens almost like every other day when it comes to getting them ready for to take them to school or wherever we're going somewhere. Like for my 7 year olds, like jiu-jitsu class or shit like that, it just seems like I don't like that I get triggered very, very quickly still. There's something there that I don't like, and that's like a pattern that I paid attention that I'm like, I have to do something about it. I don't know what it is that I get triggered like so quickly. Like I have
Mhm.
no patience when it comes to that. Like when it comes to like literally the part of getting them ready and like putting their shoes on and struggling because you're fucking kids. So you have to get them dressed and all that shit, like putting your pants on, putting that, the fact that it is not easy, the fact that there's a struggle to it and that it takes time. I easily lose my patience, like very very easily when it comes to that. Like very simple as like 3 days ago, for my 4 year old, like her pants were like, I don't know what kind of fucking texture the pants were that like were getting stuck to her skin, and it's not like she had just taken a shower or anything. It was like the little pants were like fucking weird and like se atoraba. So I fucking was super frustrated. I trying to pull her fucking pants on and put them onto her foot because it was like getting stuck. and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like after that happened, I'm just like, that's weird. Like how is this little thing seem to trigger me so fucking much where I get so frustrated and so angry, you know?
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I guess if I think about a solution, I should just be like, well, give yourself more time and try to be more mindful and take a deep breath, calm yourself from this shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Why is it like why is that specific shit like 0 to 100 when it comes to that thing?
With
Turn
time,
your
specific.
turn your computer volume down because I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Like I can hear myself in the thing. Yeah, but yeah, just that. I don't know why that's like triggering very easily. That's one of the things that like I have to maybe still continue to work on that frustration and that anger.
Okay, so before we go on, what's my role with you today? Right?
Whatever
Because
you help me in whatever way you want to be, whatever way you need it to be.
well, no, that's that. I think that answer needs to come from you because,
Okay.
um, like maybe right now we are just like wanting to just like vent and talk about like these are the things that I'm like struggling with. I don't necessarily need advice. I don't necessarily need validation. I just need to kind of vent or validate whatever it is that I'm going through or help me figure out what may be the trigger. So um
Yeah, that part. I know the other shit. I want to know why. I get it. I understand
like
the other.
solutions, Norma, solutions. That is
No,
what I
just not just like just trying to understand like where the fuck does that come from, you know? Because you know how my mind works. Once I understand what the fuck is happening and where that might be coming from, then it's easy for me to be like, okay, then I can work at it, and then I can go and do the other shit on my own, you know? Does that make sense? Like just to help me understand why and how. Like yeah, so definitely help me understand this fucking happening, and we can go as deep as we need to go.
okay. Oh shit. Oh. Sorry, I got caught in the microphone. Um, I think like as you're talking about it, the first question that maybe comes into mind is discerning or figuring out if it's the time thing
Hmm.
or if it's them not quote unquote listening to you.
I think it's probably both because there's times where we don't have to be anywhere on time, let's say, but still the I've always somehow described myself with the inability to like if like the one of the stupidest shit you can make me do that will get me frustrated is to make a puzzle. Like I can't like that will fucking just piss me off. Like I don't have the patience to be there and sit there and grab a little piece and do a little shit with my hands and be like, okay, I need to do this, you know? So like I've always kind of been like I don't have the patience for that shit. So then to be like, okay, I have to be I have to be patient when I'm doing that struggle of the clothes because a lot of the time the shoes is a pain in the ass to put on because they don't know how to do it yet and I have to guide them through their feet and then same thing like I was telling you with the pants and all that shit. So for some reason I've always felt like doing things like that with my hands that require patience always been very hard for me to like keep control of that shit and I just end up getting frustrated like very quickly, you know.
So then it looks like it's more of a matter of patience.
It could be, yeah. Yeah. Because I have another clear example. There's like a bag with some shit in there. Like I don't open up bags that are like that. I just fucking rip them. Like if there's a fucking bag that's like tangled, there's like when you know people you untangle the bag. Nope. I 100% of the time would just rip the bag open because I'm just like, okay, well I don't need this fucking bag. Let's just rip it. You know.
So okay, so kind of like what we have been talking about in past episodes, how kiddos are a reflection of us, like they are mirroring stuff. So then I would invite you to look into where along your life
Hmm.
you weren't given that patience.
Yeah, that's what I figured when I was putting thought into it yesterday. Because that's the way that I think now. It's like, okay, well, maybe that was the thing, you know. That was the that was the that was the case with me, you know.
Mm.
Yeah,
So then literally like those things that you're talking about, like with your girls, right? Like I would say like, oh, you don't have patience with them, or and not even, you can do it along with them because kiddos can help us heal those parts of ourselves.
yeah.
um I would say do a fucking puzzle.
Hmm.
Sit down and open up that bag,
Hmm.
right? Because if you do it with your kiddos right now, maybe what is happening is, I sorry, my mocos are like coming in. um you're going to have uncomfortable emotions, you're going to have uncomfortable sensations, and many times is like, what's the easiest way we can get it out? Like we put it on the kids, right? Like just like, just fucking do it, no, we gotta go. But it's something that doesn't belong to them.
Yeah.
This part of being patient, taking your time, that's a you thing. So then you dealing with those emotions, yes, you can do it in with your kids. But if we get to a point where you're like, you lose it, you might lose it on them. So then I would advise you to, like, those things that, like, I will not do a puzzle. Okay, let's do a puzzle. And when you notice of like maybe the sensation, then we can go into like what part of you is getting triggered. How old is this part?
Hmm. I'm just gonna grab a bag and have somebody make hella knots on it, and then be like, "Oh, this is how you fucking do my temptation. Don't rip it. Don't rip it. Don't rip it. Take your time. Don't
Not
rip it."
even just don't rip it, right? But more of like noticing what comes up, whatever it is that is coming up, then you can honor those parts. Because in order for us to get rid or work through our difficult emotions, we need to give them space. There's something about you, younger you, that, oh no, Chaya, no, sorry, my dog wants to like come in here. But you have to figure out what about that has to do with me,
Yeah.
because that comes from somewhere.
Yeah. 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 That's true. And I mean, knowing that thing, which is more into like the more pressing one and the one that gets me a little bit more emotional, that goes within the same lines as, and one of the other ones I wrote down is that fucking that inability to be able to connect with them in a way of like spending valuable time with them. Like that's the shit that hurts a lot more than even this thing. That like it feels like it's such an effort, and it's just so weird. Like that is like I said, that's more painful to realize, and also realizing that the same thing, right? That might be the case. So the reason I can't reciprocate that shit and I can't do that is because I wasn't given that. I realized that, and I was like, "Puta madre." Um. So yeah, that's one that I think. Um. The same thing that I have to continue to work at and try, you know. Because I think often when I do, like, I don't know why I'm given it such. I don't know if I might be given it like how do I say, like I feel like it has to be a special time. I feel like I have to do something special to spend time with them. Like it requires something special, and like I've caught a couple of times when in reality doesn't need that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like one time we laid down on the floor and I put a couple pillows, and me and me and Mia just laid down, and then I hugged her, and I felt like we had a good time there. You know, but for some reason in my mind it's like, well, it's hard to do that. Like I know that's what, now that I tried it a couple of weeks ago, it's like, oh, that's all you need. But then it's to actually get to do it. It's just like, I don't know. It's like a fucking. It's like there's a block. It's like there's something there that doesn't fucking let me just
Mhm.
do it. Like
Mhm.
the shit, you know. And thinking about that, like I think part of it, that's part of my parenting identity, I guess, has been that part of like, oh, you're taken care of, you're okay, okay, cool, and checking in on you periodically to make sure that you're okay, but not necessarily being and spending the time um with them, you know.
Mhm.
That's the part that's hard.
And essentially, that is exactly what they're needing, right? Like,
Yeah.
because even if I'm gonna be mean to you if I might, but um, even if you don't hit them, even if you don't necessarily like yell at them or abuse them, if we don't take time to spend time with like quality time with them, then the parenting style is still very similar to what our parents did, because it's like, okay, your basic needs are met, you're fed, you're clothed, you're bathed, right? Like, then almost like my job is kind of done, and I'll just like check in on you to make sure that you're still alive. But it's the part that, well, they still need a lot of connection, um, and that is one of the things that you and I have talked about, as far as like how just being silly, right, being childish is something that comes very hard for you.
Yeah.
And I think that is one part that was neglected, what's coming up as right now.
It just like I just feel bad.
When you say I feel bad, what does that mean?
It's it's like I want to, like I told you, I want to do that. I want to spend the time with them, and I just don't know how, or I come up with any excuse or anything else that distracts me from doing it.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm doing. I know how that is affecting them and all that shit. And that's
Mhm.
what hurts, you know. And it makes me feel better that I tell her, that I tell me all the time, like I'm learning. I don't mean to do this to you. I just know that I'm learning. I just I don't know better sometimes, and I lose my shit.
Mhm. So part of it, when you're talking about right now, like I feel bad because I want to, and it hurts that I don't do it. I want to remind you, because I know you have a big inner critic, that the fact that you feel bad doesn't make you a bad parent. Quite the opposite. You care and you want to show up for them. And just like you said, hon, I don't know how to, because no one taught me how to do that. Remind yourself that you're doing the best that you can with what you.
I know. I know. I just want to do the best that I can, you know.
You are
I
doing the
even
best that you can.
I even told her, hey, I'm gonna talk about it today. I told her
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to figure out and try to do that shit.
yeah.
But I'm aware of all that. I'm aware of all that shit, you know. I
Well,
learned that the fact that I Like you said, the fact that I care and the fact that it's painful is a good thing
Yeah.
because it means that I'm trying.
Hmm.
It'd be worse if I didn't feel any of this or I wasn't aware of the what they're missing. I wasn't aware that I'm not giving them that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I think part of the the awareness is it's something that we definitely need. And I think for you, right, like it goes even beyond the awareness. Now that you have the awareness, then doing the work will be tapping into your inner kiddo that wasn't given that, right? Like the way I explain it to my clients sometimes is like, okay, because they'll be saying stuff like that, like I know what I need to do, and I want to do it, but for some reason, like you said, like there's like a block, right? So then I tell them like, okay, because I have like my couch and they have their own couch, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna switch for the remainder of the session. You're gonna be the therapist, and I'm gonna be your client. And they look at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, therapize me, right? Like, you be my therapist, you do what I do. And they're like so confused about it.
Mhm.
And then I'll ask, would you be able to do it? And they're like, no. Like, why not? Why can't you just come over here and do therapy? And they're like, because no, I don't know how to be a therapist. No one taught me how to be a therapist. And I'm like, fucking exactly. The same thing for you. If you come from a place where an adult wasn't playful with you, where you were alone, where you're the parentified child, you literally don't know how to do that, Papa. It's a skill. I mean, the part of the connecting, it's within your bones. It's literally in your DNA of connection. The actual action of doing it, it's something that was ripped away from you. Something that you have to relearn. And the block that you're talking about completely exists because it's something that your body has learned to do to protect itself.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in other, I don't know if it was within the podcast, but this part of there's there's a part of me that when I get that from my mom, I'm like, yeah, I want this. But then there's a part of me that's like, but let me put this wall up. That's not protection. So it's the same thing with your kiddos. If I allow myself to connect with them, there's a bigger chance that I might be hurt, not necessarily by something that they do, but something that can happen to them. Because the more you love, the more prone we are to pain. Who made up those rules? I don't know.
Yeah. And I've noticed that too. I noticed that in the it's definitely hard to still, and as I'm saying it, I'm like, fuck. I feel like I'm so different than we talked about most men that are literally crying on a fucking podcast. But it still shows how much I still have to go because it's hard for me to do that. Like what we talked about behind the scenes and how you're helping me with the coaching stuff and what you said and about validating those emotions. Like it's hard. Like I'm thinking how many times people have opened up to me about some shit and I just like don't even sit with it. Like they just don't, like it doesn't just connect. It doesn't like it's hard for me to be able to show that that emotion and that or even almost validated because of whatever, because I can't like reflect it,
Yeah.
you know. And one thing I was gonna tell you, and now that I'm thinking about it, like I had an amazing conversation with my dad in the last couple of weeks, and I told him that he seemed to be in a lot of pain and he needed a hug, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Like I just grabbed his shoulder, and that's as far as I got. And then I was like, "Fuck!" Like I almost want to go back. Like he needed that shit. Like he was on the burst of like fucking crying, and I just couldn't do it. Like I just went and I just grabbed him on the shoulder, and then I just like talked, and then we continued the shit, and then like I couldn't bring myself to that because I think he struggles maybe with the same shit
Hmm.
because he doesn't show a lot of emotion either, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't have a physical connection. Like we don't hug,
Yeah.
you know.
Because you have to also remember that at the end of the day with your dad, you're still his child.
Yeah.
So even if you are 50 years old and he's however old, you're still going to be the kid, right? So then, even if in that moment he was really needing it, but it's still that part of like, oh, but this is something we don't do. There's also still that fear of maybe rejection of if I know my adult part knows that you need this hug, my inner child is like, uh, but will we respond to it? That
Yeah.
is the protection that comes about.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I should have done it. I know he wouldn't have rejected, and I know he needed it, and as much as probably I needed and shit. So then
That's your
afterwards, I was like,
adult brain.
"Fuck," you know?
That's your adult brain.
Huh?
That's your adult brain. Right now, your adult brain is talking.
Yeah. But well, I'm just thinking he did show up for me. Remember what I told you? He did show up for me and give me that hug that I needed. You know, when I needed it. So I know he's capable of it. I think maybe he's not gonna ask me directly like I did, but I
Yeah.
think it was gonna go fine. It's just I couldn't bring myself to do it for that reason, you know. But then I also feel like always like that's the fear, bitch. Then lean into it.
Hmm.
Because once if I would have done it, then that wouldn't have made it easier to the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and it would have become the norm, you know, slowly.
And this is even though your voice is getting nicer, it's still a critic.
Mm,
Um, because and I still think that that's your adult brain talking. Because right now, when you're out of that fearful situation, and that happens, I don't know if you've ever been like in argument, and then after the argument, you're like, "Ooh," you come up with a good ass comeback. I'm like, "Oh, why didn't I say that in that moment?"
yeah,
Right? Because you weren't in your prefrontal cortex. After the fact that we have access to it, but in that moment of like fear, vulnerability, like our limbic system is activated. So then you're not gonna want to. Um, you're not making decisions from here. You're making decisions from your limbic system. And again, like there is this fearful part of like, uh, how is this going one hug gonna go? Because if physical touch is something that you didn't experience with your dad, that's a lifelong thing, hun.
mm,
When you needed a hug and he gave it to you, that's one experience against your lifetime of no physical touch. So
mm,
still your brain is like, yeah, we got that once, but what about all those other times that we didn't get it?
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Like I knew all this shit. I knew all this shit that like that there's a possibility of all this shit I have to explore about my childhood and all that shit, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. You like there was a picture. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but the point is that like you finish some shit and then there's a whole other shit to discover. Like you have this fucking journey and you think you got it, and then like because of conversations like this, then you become aware of like, oh my god, there's this whole other shit that I can't even fucking, I don't even have the
Yes.
awareness yet, and now I have the awareness, and now I gotta go through the whole fucking thing again. I have to go through the
So
same cycle of pain and fucking understanding and discovery, and then fucking, the whole grief and all those steps and all that shit that could be to come to peace eventually. And I'm sure when that one's done, then it'll be another motherfucking thing to go through and go through the shit and over for eternity.
this is how I explain it. I have a little sequin pillow in my office, and this is how I explain it to them. So I cover like the rest of the pillow, and then I show them this like a couple of sequins, right? And be like, okay, when we don't know what we don't know. So then we're like, this is life. We move around here, and we know these couple of sequins. For those of you listening, I have a piece of paper, toilet paper in my hand, a square, semi covered, and then we go on the healing journey, and then we unpack more, right? And you're like, wait, there's more. Like, yeah, there's more. And then we process through that, and we're like, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm good. And then we go through it, and it's like, and there's more. And there's more, and there's more, and there's more, until like you're looking at all of this. And right now maybe you are able to, because you have a different set of lenses, so you're able to see maybe all of these things that you need to work through, but you can't even fathom. Like, it's with the universe, right? We know there's hella shit out there, but we have no fucking idea
Yeah,
what's there. And not until we actually get there and start exploring, then we will find out what's beyond the fucking Milky Way. I don't know. But it's the same thing with us humans.
yeah,
It's why the el dicho ignorance is bliss. It's not far from the truth.
yeah,
It's not far from the truth.
yeah, definitely. It's just that, and I guess this is the thing again of thinking about it and my how my my approach would work. Could be like, okay, this is what I gotta work on. All right, then face it head on and go through the shit and go through the fucking pain and deal with all that shit. And I think this is like part of it, and I still have been able to. I'm still. I think I will forever be on the search on how to help myself and help people in that way. Just be like, well, the other thing I can think of is the awareness, right? Like I've been on this hype in the last couple of months, I guess, on this awareness thing that like know that you don't know shit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you think that you got to figure out that you got to solve, that's like that's to your limits that you have right now. Don't be so fucking cocky to be like, no, I got it all figured out. Be like, yeah, to what you fucking know, to as far as your capability of you have of the knowledge or the understanding you have of whatever topic it is or yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little thing. Someone explained it on a podcast as like archaeologists, right? They're the ones that dig up shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're just looking at the ground and you think is the ground, and there's all this other shit underneath it that you have to discover. But we just walk around looking at the fucking ground for the ground, and that's it. But you don't think what's underneath it, you
Yeah.
know, or like the house, because I have some experience with fucking construction. You just look at the house and you don't know the fucking all the shit ton of work that's behind it, or the things that could be right or wrong, and the work that it went through it to kind of have this that you know in whatever way that in my work is just that awareness of it.
Yes.
So yeah,
Just know you know nothing.
yeah, just know that you don't know shit as smart as you think you are, and you have it all figured out. We
The
truly
more I
don't know shit.
know, the less I know.
Yeah, there's like a actually my dad used to say that, like, all I know is that I don't know nothing. Some, I guess, is some philosopher or some shit. I don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck.
I don't know. Is it? Let me see. Yo solo sé que no sé nada.
Yeah, 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 that was what he repeated a couple of times. uh,
Socrates, actually.
okay.
on his quest for knowledge.
Yeah. So now I know. But this is once again to think about it is this is what the fuck exactly I want to make it clear as an example of what is fucking therapy like. Like this is it, right? Like you brought light upon what I need to do, and it's like painful to be like fuck this really they were all this they fucked this up so badly, and I need all this shit and everything, and now I have to go through that, and I have to
Mhm.
feel that fucking pain and go through that shit again. Then who knows how long it will take me to understand and be at peace with and process and all that shit. But it's painful. So most people just stop at the pain and then close their eyes and turn around the other way. You know,
Well,
that's the
and
shit
here,
that's just so hard.
yeah, and here's the thing, right? Because many times when I'm with clients and I'm like, we got to go through the pain, we got to go through the pain, and a lot of them they'll ask me like, why are you asking me to go back to a painful place? Like I've been there, I know what it's like. Like I don't want to go back there. Like do not make me go back there. And I think the difference is that before they were they have been in that pain, and but before they've been experiencing it by themselves. They've
Hmm.
been alone in that pain, right? So then if and when you go to therapy, um if you ever come to therapy with me, you know that I will make you go through that pain. Absolutely.
Hmm.
The difference is that I will be there with you to
Hmm.
walk alongside,
Hmm.
to tell you to let your inner kiddo, you're not alone anymore.
Mm. Okay. I was wondering, based on the session that I had yesterday, if it was okay for me to do that, or if it was up to them to do it alone, or if it was okay for me to give them that sense of you're not alone and provide the kind words and the love that they needed,
Yeah.
or if it was something that they need to do themselves.
It's a little bit of both. I think many people don't even know what that's like for themselves. So like as a therapist, as a companion, as a coach, whatever, um, many times we have to step in and be the bigger, wiser other of like, I'm right here with you. I'm not going to leave you alone. Um,
Cool.
eh, another, and as you progress in the journey, then it is themselves being able to do that. So
Hmm.
that 'cause the goal is that they don't need us, right? Like
Yeah.
my old supervisor Sam used to say, my job is to work myself out of a job.
Yeah.
So eventually that bigger, wiser other is going to be themselves.
Yeah. Got it.
But it's okay if we are that for them for a little bit.
Yeah. Sounds good. So yeah, that was the. I guess now that everything kind of goes from there because it was well. There's two other things.
Okay.
Um, but that was I think that was the biggest one out of all of them. Now, honestly, just based on how emotional I got.
Hmm.
The other one is, and it's something that we talked about, and I think I don't remember who's on the podcast or not. I don't take criticism very well.
Oh.
I don't at all. Like if you tell me I fucked up, I'm like, you're a piece of shit. You don't deserve stop whatever you're doing. Like anytime somebody criticizes my there's like a oh, did you do this too? Did you happen to capture this? Oh, this is missing. And I'm like, oh, you're fucking terrible. Like stop doing wedding photography. You fucking suck.
Mm.
Like this is like there's like the, the inability that I have to deal with that is like I think now what I was thinking about it because it just kind of happened is concerning, and I would turn so like in the past I would avoid responding to the fucking email for days or weeks to not like I screwed myself when I was younger, not knowing that that was happening, and I was like so ashamed that I had messed something up, that I had done something, that I had missed something, that I was just like shut down and I just like kept it at a distance, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I just noticed that like, and I was, because once again, through conversations and all this shit, my awareness, I think, continues to go up. So then I was like, wait, but why the fuck does it bother you so much? Does something just happen? Be like, why are you so like, oh? You didn't have this composition of this shot specifically, and they just give you the feedbacks, and it's like, okay, now you're shit and you're terrible and you missed something. And we can get into why as well. But I just want to say, in my defense, I think I'm trained that since they don't tell you you did good, and they just tell you when you fuck up, like that's kind of fucked up, you know. Like I don't get like a fucking big praise from people like, oh, you fucking killed it. Like this is fucking amazing. There's no everything was fucking perfect in the shit of that. Like I don't get that. My standard is if I don't hear back from you, I did well. If you reply to me, there's something bad. There's something that I fucked up. There's something that I need that you need more from me that I did. But if I don't hear back from you ever, because sometimes you turn the pictures and not a fucking soul tells you anything. Actually, most of the time, no one fucking gives you any feedback. So then I'm just like, oh. So then I'm like, that's why I don't know if I feel like if it was maybe more balanced, that I would be more okay with the drawbacks. But I don't know. I have to figure out why that's so painful to me, and I just turned it into very black and white of like you're good or you're shit and you're terrible. You know.
Estoy tomando mi juguito del confrontation.
Let's do it. Wait. Just so you know, when you turn 35 as a man, you get hair everywhere. There's hair on
Thank
my
you
ear,
for
hair on my fucking nose. Like that's fucking weird. Like my nose hair and my ear hair doesn't stop growing. Literally, just like what the fuck? There's always fucking hair, and I'm always cutting it off.
you
But
have hair.
yeah, that's a side note. Hit me.
It's no different than what we were talking about.
I know. That's what I thought as soon as I wrote it down. But I need to hear maybe from your side so it makes sense in my fucking head.
Whose voice?
Repeat what I told you. I need to hear that shit probably.
That's okay. That's okay because that's literally a therapeutic intervention is reflective listening.
Yeah.
So it's you listen and then you reflect it back to the client. When somebody criticizes you, the first thought is like, you're shit.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing this. Whose voice is that?
Mine.
Whose voice is that?
Jesus Christ. Well, I have to figure out whose it is. Who gave me that?
Whose voice is that?
Yeah.
It's become your voice, but it's not yours. It didn't originate from you. For me, my biggest critic is my father. Whenever I tell myself something negative, it's usually my dad's voice. I recognize that it's my dad's voice.
I love this, by the way. I have an idea of where it came from. It was just, I think one side of the family had an aspect of perfection.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. One side of the family definitely I remember was very, yeah. Oh shit, that's crazy. What the fuck? Yeah.
Okay, all right. Was that a tree? Was that a seed? Was that
No,
a
no, no,
bush?
I know. I'm almost fucking certain that that's where it comes from. Because the other side of the family they didn't give a fuck about that part of it. But there was a side of the family that was very very into perfection.
Mhm,
So I wonder if that was like, well, that's not enough, and you can do more in the shit.
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, and that becomes our voice. Just this morning, just literally this morning, I put some shorts on before coming here, and I noticed that maybe they weren't as like loose because with the training for the marathon, right? Like I lost like when I started training, like I lost weight. I don't weigh
Mhm.
myself, but I can tell by with just the way that my clothes fit. And I put it on, and they're like a little bit more snug, and like the voice creeps in right away because one side of my family, like they are very about looks. Like they get a lot of like even cosmetic surgery done. Like that's to the extent that they go. So that's something that I grew up with, right? Like this idea that I needed to be skinny in order to be pretty, in order to be attractive. So then the moment my clothes feel snug is like, ooh, you're getting fat. So I have to like, I caught it right away and we're like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Mm-mm. Nope. So I have to stop myself. I have to catch them. Before I wouldn't. I would be like, oh, you're fucking fat and come on, like all the work that you've done, blah, 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 right? But then I have to stop and remind myself. So I recognize that that's not my voice. That comes from my ancestry.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's true for me. I was paying attention to that as well because I've been trying to figure out how to change my approach for the millionth fucking time on losing weight. And I think part of it is that. I think part of it is my like the self confidence part of it. Somehow I'm more accepted.
Mm-hmm. That's a societal thing.
Yeah, I thought about that. I was like, holy shit! At the end of the day, I'm doing it to feel more accepted, and I was like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Because even,
if I'm more self worth, if I'm more confidence based on the way that I look, and I was like, oh la verga, you're over here talking all that shit about how that doesn't matter, and it's still like a thing that
yeah.
it's still like a factor, and it's something that is affecting your life in that way, still, you know.
Yeah.
Because that was honestly that was 100% what fucked me up in middle school and high school. Because that yeah, because I was bullied and I was made fun of and shit like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I told the story that one person said, "You ain't going to fucking college, Steve," and that person fucked me up. I literally, from that point forward, I stopped giving a fuck about school because I took on that thing that he said. But then, if that was one
Who is
person,
this person and where does he live so I can go fuck him up?
I don't even know. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. But it was in South City with Mister Clean's class. Um,
Mr. Colleen's the one that told you you weren't going to
no,
go
no,
to
no,
college?
no, no, no. It was a classmate. It
Huh.
wasn't him. No, that would have been all over the shit already. Trust me. By the time I was a senior, I would have probably told him. I probably gotten a punch on myself. Um, but then I put it. If I pay attention to that one person, fucked me up because I believed that somehow because he said it. Other people laughed. Somehow internalized that and took that as like, yeah, you're not smart enough to fucking do that. Um, then I can imagine how
Constant.
my self confidence of being so constant in the shit that I was made fun of, how that affected me, you know,
Yes.
because it wasn't even, yeah, yeah. That's why I was so insecure and so whatever and suffered through all those years of that shit, you know. Because like I tell Sally, I later found out like I could have done some damage in high school and college, but it was my own shit that didn't fucking let me
Yes.
see it and do it, you know. Um,
Done
you just
so.
you got what I meant. Good. Um, and the other shit and the last one of that is so no, but before thank you for that because I'll pay attention to that and I'll try to remember exactly if that's what it is because there was a lot of it might not been like there was even like a like you just got extra praise for being like elite. I think that's what
You
it
would
was in
think.
my childhood. So like
Okay.
being having perfection and striving for that, like that shit of like nah 9.9, fuck that. Why isn't it 10? You know,
Oh my God. Yeah.
like that kind of shit. You know, like I think I don't I don't know if they ever like told me, but the fact that there was such a standard, then I made me probably feel like shit when I didn't get the highest possible level thing. You know.
100%. Like I can think of this is a core memory within me. When I was in Mexico on my first grade, and I was fucking 6 years old, so I was like oblivious to the world. they told me like, oh, you're gonna go, I guess like to the equivalent of like the school district, to concursar, right? To like ¿cómo se dice concursar en inglés?
Compete.
Yes, to compete for reading, because my teacher was like, you're really good at reading. So then I was like, okay. So they took me. I remember I went to a little town and they gave me like a little short story, and like I read it, whatever, I won first place. So I was like super happy, right? And I came home and it was kind of like good, right? Like cool. I got the praise, whatever. So then they kept taking me to those things. And I remember, I don't know if it was like the pressure, but I remember my dad, because back in the day, McDonald's over there to like get McDonald's in Mexico. Oh my
Mhm.
God, like that was motherfucking elite. So then before going to one of the concursos, he told
Competitions.
me, thank you. I'm like, ¿cómo se dice? Before going, he told me, si ganas primer lugar, te llevo a McDonald's. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm going to get McDonald's. Because I had been really consistent with getting first place. So then, but the fucking pressure of like, you need to be number one in order to be deserving of this. Right. And of course, I didn't. I didn't. And I came back with second place. And I told my dad, like, I got second place. He's like, then I'm not taking you. And he didn't take me. And that is a core
Mm.
memory of, and now as an adult, I think of like, I brought you home like all of these first ones and I got nothing for them. But the time that I got second place, and that's, I don't know if it was the pressure or whatever, but like that still sits here, that my 6-year-old really wanted McDonald's, and it almost felt like all of the other ones went unrecognized. But that one second place is like, well, you're not deserving, you're not good enough to get the McDonald's.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm somehow losing my fucking internet connection.
okay,
Give us 1 second and we shall be right. No, it's coming back.
okay,
All right, I'm good. Never mind.
cool.
Yeah, that's that's crazy. I have. Yeah, you're literally gonna make me rethink that part of my childhood and go back in and put it like that because I never thought about it that way. But yeah, similar things happen with me. Like somehow I remember that I memorized the world's longest fucking poem that fucking fifth grader could remember, but then I came in second place. So it wasn't even praised that I got the shit that I remember like an intricate advanced fucking poem that I memorized line by line. I just remember, yeah, but she beat you because she did hand movements and you were just standing there reciting the poem with nothing, so you didn't do that shit. Or you were almost the flag carrier at the fucking thing. You were right there. You were right next to it. But you never got to carry the flag. You were right there, you know, and keep trying harder so that you get to carry the fucking flag. It was never like praised enough to be like, motherfucker, I'm already like, you know, top five or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
my fellow, I I appreciate her and I cherish her friendship. And Fabiola, Fabiola came to my school, and she's the one that got it because we were always like competing in Mexico, for like la escolta,
Hmm.
um, and I would have like 9.8, and she will have 9.81.
Hijo de la chingada.
I know, for a very long time I was like so jealous of her, and I remember my teacher having a conversation with me. He's like, because she had me fifth and sixth grade, and she's like, as much as I want to for you to be the person that carries the flag, like she has a better score, so it's gonna be her. And I was just like, no, my heart, I'm not the best.
Yeah.
So yes, those things do a fucking number on you for sure.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. And then there's one more.
Okay.
There is one more that is probably just as complicated and as painful as this shit.
Okay.
I'm doubting the where we're at with my mom.
How
I'm
do you
questioning if there can be a relationship
at all?
the other way. Like if I can find a middle ground with connecting and having her in my life while like opening up myself to that. Like if I'm
Mm,
able to get some of that um if I'm able to have both, if I'm able to, and both by I mean like having the good and the bad,
oof.
because I feel like I need it, but I'm not sure. Like I'm questioning it. Be like, well, am I doing something wrong? Can I have that? Can I have that relationship? Because what is at now is like I'm telling you, just hi, and she'll tell me shit, but I don't I don't want to engage and to have anything possibly be misinterpreted or have that thing triggered in her head to then, push me away. So then I don't even open up myself to the conversation. Like I'm just like, yeah, like, oh, hey, um, this is happening or this is that. And I'm just like, oh, okay, really? Oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool, 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 cool. I don't really have my opinion. I don't add anything. I don't say anything because I don't know what's going to trigger it. And I just rather not deal with it. But now I'm like, well, can I have that? Can I go back to having that because I still need it? But then the fear again of like, well, she might just respond with that shit out of nowhere and it's gonna be painful for you and all that shit. So then like, nah, just keep your distance. You don't want to go through that shit again of having that pain and the thing. As much as I do catch myself because once again my awareness is increasing to be like I need that fucking love and I need that thing. That's why I wonder if the solution is if it's over the phone, if you're not living with me, then there could be another middle ground that's more towards the middle rather than to be very distant where it's at now.
Oof.
It's hard.
I-
I'm very torn and
yeah.
I'm doubting this shit. Especially, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I heard her at my brother's house cooking for him.
You hurt her?
Heard with my ears.
Oh, you heard her. What did you hurt her?
I she was I was playing video games with my brother and then she was in the background asking him to taste food and to do this. Like, oh, how does this taste like this? Oh, you think I should do more of that? So then it's like a fuck. Like you get to have that. You get to have that and I miss that shit. And then that's I guess where it started being like, well, can I have that middle ground? But something tells me that that's not gonna last, I think. Like I I told him that I'll be there for him if it ever happens, but I'm pretty sure nothing leads me to believe that there has been any change or anything that out of nowhere shit will just blow up and shit will hit the fan and it'll be very painful for them to deal with. But it's their choice and I'm completely fine with that. But I don't know if I want to put myself out there again. That's the tough part.
Oh, okay. This is coming from personal experience, not as a therapist, and as a maybe a privileged place where my dad doesn't necessarily have BPD. Um, so he might not be to the extreme with like your mom as far as reactions. So I
Mhm.
want to be mindful of that. Um, Mi talón de Achilles, it's my dad. Um, he is that person that I want to have that relationship with, but I know that I won't have it to the extent that I want it to be. How I've learned to relate to my dad is to understand what are the ways that in his brain he gives me love. So that consciously, like, I need to put an effort to say, like, my dad is loving me right now. Give you examples. Like, if it were up to me, I would sit down with my father and have deep, meaningful conversations. Have hugs, have like, tell me your pains, I'll give you mine, and we are there for each other. That's my fantasy world. But what it looks like for me is if I ask him, Dad, can you make me birria? And my dad will make me birria, then I know that he's giving me love at that point. If I'm like having issues with my car and he helps me look under the hood, he's giving me love. If we plan a trip together and he somehow makes it work so that he's there, or like he'll, like, we go out somewhere and then he'll pay something. For me, it's like, I'm a grown as adult, I don't need you to pay for shit. But I know I'd be like, okay, how much do I owe you? And be like, it's fine, he's giving me love. So that is the way that I've like learned to relate to my dad. My conversations with my dad are like very superficial, very superficial. Um, he doesn't really know what's going on with my life, internally, emotionally, but that's, it's not my optimal, but that is my middle ground. And if and when my dad explodes, and sometimes he does, and he'll say some out of pocket shit that is painful, I have to remind myself, I have to remind my little girl that it has nothing to do with her, that he's coming from his pain. That doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. But then when there's a rupture between you and her, it's not going to be her repairing. It's going to be you with yourself, or somebody else with you to help repair that. Right? So then you're saying, I tiptoe around it because I don't want to trigger her. It doesn't matter how much you tiptoe around it, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So then when that happens, then your job will, as your adult self, will be to sit with your inner kiddo and be like, this has nothing to do with you. This is her pain. And I love you. You are protected. I got you. Even if mom doesn't. And it could look like, okay, you have, you see her, right? And then you're like, okay, should I put more stuff? Be like, oh, to me, it tastes okay. What do you think? Or for me, maybe more salt. What do you think? And she could be like, well, it's okay. What do you mean more salt? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's okay. Right? And that's when you go internally to soothe yourself. Because one of the things with people with BPD is they will project things. They will blame other people because it's too difficult to sit with their own pain. So your mom's going to keep doing that.
Yeah, I have more questions and more shit that I don't want to say what we're recording, and it's gonna be put out there.
Okay.
And more concerns and other things to kind of give you that kind of feedback on how I feel. That is just, I don't think I'm comfortable putting it out there. But yeah, that's kind of like another struggle, another thing that says, "Where do I find that balance? Can I have that? Can I
Yeah.
manage to find that?" Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend two books to you. Since you go into like you like to go into rabbit holes. Two books for anybody that is dealing with a parent that is not able to emotionally show up for them and possibly has BPD, borderline personality disorder. For uh, people in your life that have borderline personality disorder, and maybe we should do an episode on that one. Um, is I Hate You, Don't Leave Me. It shows like the black and white of it and how to strategies there too of how to deal with people with BP. And the other one is Children. I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it Children of Emotionally Immature Parents?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah, you might be on. That sounds very right.
Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
Yeah.
That's that's also a good book that offers good strategies, and I'm wondering if that one would be good for you for that middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. I'll
Anything
have
else?
some work to do. No, those were all of them pretty much. The other there was one more, but it's very similar to the connecting with the girls.
Mm,
So I have to put in some work on that. I
yeah.
just yeah, I will work at it. I imagine myself laying down and wrestling with them like I do
Mm,
sometimes. I just gotta make myself available and,
yeah.
and play with them and go from there. Yeah, that's by far the most painful one because I see how they need it. I see how they need that shit.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's also hard for them and they're acting out because of that.
Yeah. They're looking for that connection.
Yeah. All right.
Mm.
Like we said in the other one. Oh, let's catch up. This will I still say what I was gonna say. This is another example of how therapy can look for people. Talk therapy and like you said, how you have to open the wounds and go through the pain to be able to grow and make people aware of this shit and go from there. Which honestly, with your help and what I learned from you, and I'm having great success with my client. It's going fucking amazing. You know,
Good. I'm
so it's
glad to
going
hear.
it's going really good.
Good.
Uh, so yeah, this is an example of what it can look like. And now to finalize or to put an end to the episode, I did think we need to talk about how you've been feeling after the conversation that we had. That that episode actually gets released on Monday, so it'll be perfect for this to be the next one. For this to be
I
the
am.
follow up.
I'm sweating. Literally started sweating. I am struggling still. I don't think I'm like in a depressive episode because I don't meet all the criteria. Um, and I am just life functioning right now feels really heavy.
Mm,
I don't want to run. I don't want to cook. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. I am doing the bare minimum right now.
mm,
Bare minimum. After I talked to you, my friends from LA came and fuck, like, uh, it was before you and I had the phone call when I told her like I was like struggling.
mhm,
When we were talking on the phone while I was on a run, um, and just finding out that I need to create my own home, my own safe space has been really difficult. So then, um, I was trying to. I was thinking that I was like ready to like date, but I don't think I am, mm, because of that. And I don't know. Maybe I'm conflicted because I'm like, well, am I not worthy of love even when I'm struggling with this? So it's like it's it, it's a struggle, but figuring out. But I haven't actually like gone to the pain. Today I am gonna schedule like a therapy appointment, but um creating that own home for me internally is where I'm at, but I'm not ready to do it yet. I'm just tired. I'm tired.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's something that That's something that I thought about. Maybe it could be right or wrong based on you were saying that another maybe realization for me at least to assume maybe what you're going through. Is it
Mm,
could it be that like you're the same thing, right? On top of that, it goes back to the same shit of like giving yourself what you weren't given and learn to show up for yourself. Just
mm.
can it be that you're waiting for that stereotypical man to come and save you and set it up for you and provide all that shit for you, right? Because of that, maybe inability to give it to yourself and provide that for yourself, that you need somebody or not a man, but a partner that comes and completes you for that way, because that is what we've been taught, right? Because I know we know of other situations similar to yours that we talked about outside of the podcast, and I think that's what it is, where you just have somebody come and set it up for you and give you all this shit there for you to do that.
Yeah,
So not like you can build it your own, I would assume. I mean, I haven't been fucking single in like however many years.
must be nice, Steve. Must be nice.
Yeah. So, but I'm just thinking like that's probably what that could be a thing, right? That you need to set that up and have that for yourself and have whoever comes into your life be a complement to that. But
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
yourself that home and those things by yourself so that you're not depending on anybody else to come and give it to you.
That is literally the journey. Yeah, that is where I'm at. Learning how to do that for myself before I go into a new relationship, romantic relationship.
Hmm.
But I don't want to do that because that requires work, and I'm tired of working. I'm tired of healing. I don't want to. I'm exhausted. It's been a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. I bet. But
Yeah.
that's what happens, right? Like as another example, another thing that I thought about as when you were talking is like, well, yeah, you can't function. You don't feel like doing shit because your body's like, nope, deal with this. This is here. It's right here in your face, in front of you. Oh, I want to go. No, fuck you. It's right here in front of you. I want to go run. I want to enjoy this TV show. I want to do this. Nope, fuck you. It's right here. You're not gonna be able to enjoy anything if you don't address it. It's right here because you've been neglecting it for so fucking long that it's right here. Come on, it's right here.
No, I don't want to.
That's
I
how it
don't want
shows. And another thing that I gave you props for was the fact that you know what the solution is and you know the hard work that you have coming for yourself. And the
Well,
fact
yeah,
that we're and the
okay.
fact that when you do the right thing is hard as fuck, right? That's the thing that I told you in that conversation. Because we could just literally turn to fucking crack and forget about it. It could just be just start doing
Anybody?
drugs and all kinds of shit or just start drinking, and then most people just cope with it that way or find some other way to deal with it, some other
I
vice.
want
But
to.
doing the right thing is hard.
Yes, it is. But yes, that's it.
Yeah. Well, do it whenever you feel like it, or whenever your body doesn't literally let you function anymore. Those are your those are your two options. All right. Mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. That's the email. The group is growing strong, getting some feedback. Some people are getting used to not saying good, which is good. And this has been it's been going great. As always, we're here for you guys. You're not alone. Hit us up. We're here for you, no matter when and where. You can fucking call me at any time of the day. I'll be there. I'll answer the fucking call. You know, we'll
I
show
won't
up
answer the
whenever we
call
need to.
from 11 to 8. I will not answer.
You can just call me whenever the fuck. I don't care. I literally get energized by helping people. It makes me
Fine.
full of life. I will if I'm as tired as I am. We'll go from there, and I'll wake up for you.
No, don't
Take
call me
care.
at that time. But any other time you do, you can call me.
I bet you if I called you, you fucking answer. Peace.
Bye.
Oh shit. No outro. Outro. I wanted to end it on the mic drop. Outro.